Okay, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC for short, scoping meeting for the Lower Mousam Hydroelectric Project. My name is Mike Watts, and I'm the project engineer at FERC. I'm also a project coordinator. With me from the FERC are two additional staff members, and at this time I'll have them introduce themselves and say what the duties are at the FERC.
Thank you, Mike. I'm Nick Tackett. I'm a branch chief for the New England region at FERC in the Division of Hydropower Licensing. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to welcome you all here today. I won't be doing much of the speaking, but nonetheless, welcome full engagement. We are here to hear your opinion, to get oriented better with the project. We only know what is on the record in this proceeding. It's of note that this proceeding we use dockets, so under 14856 is different than the current license designated project under 5362. So I know you have or may have participated in the current discussions led by the current licensee, but I just encourage you to express your opinions anew, to let us know. We are here for NEPA scoping purposes, so environmental purposes, to discuss potential issues, environmental issues, cultural, socioeconomic issues that are at issue here for this project. So definitely welcome full participation. Again, Echo, thank you for coming.
My name is Steve Cartalia. I'm a fisheries biologist, and I work with Mike and Nick. So I'll be addressing issues of fisheries and water quality and those sorts of things.
Thank you, Steve. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. I'd like to point out that we have two sign-in sheets. One is a general sign-in sheet for all who's in attendance to sign, and there's a second sign-in sheet for those of you who are planning to give in verbal comments. If you're planning to give in verbal comments, we do have a court reporter with us today. The court reporter will be making the transcript of today's meeting, and while we generally like to keep things as informal as possible, we do ask that you state your name and affiliation before speaking, so the court reporter can attribute your comments to you. We do have handouts in the back of the room on the table. Sure. Yes, state your name and affiliation before speaking. We also have, like I said, copies of the scoping document and some licensing brochures to help educate you about the FERC process. Feel free to grab a copy of those for your reference. Here's an outline, not really an agenda, an outline of today's meeting so you can know what to expect. We're going to start off by talking a little bit about FERC. We'll then go over the licensing process, and then we'll invite the current licensee, Kennebunk Light and Power, to give us an overview of the project facilities and operations, after which we'll have the potential applicant, America First, give us an overview of what they're proposing for the project. Second half of my presentation, I'll talk a little bit about the scoping document, particularly those issues that we've identified for analysis in our NEPA document. Then we'll go over next steps, and then we'll talk about how you can stay involved. We are the FERC. We're an independent agency under the Department of Energy, but we're independent. We regulate interstate transmission of natural gas, oil, and electricity. We also regulate the federal hydropower projects and natural gas projects. At the top of the FERC organization, there are 5 commissioners, including one chairman that's appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. Actually, anecdotal information, just last week we just got up to full capacity. Since the election, there's some turnover at FERC as far as commissioners, but just in time for the scoping meeting, FERC is now at full capacity as far as total amount of commissioners at the FERC. The Office of Energy Projects, where I'm from, is about 20% of the total FERC workforce. And hydrolicensing includes 3 divisions. There's a division of dam safety, who's responsible for making sure structures are safe and for overseeing new construction. There's the Department of Hydropower Compliance at the bottom there that is responsible for making sure that our licensees complies with the terms and conditions of their licenses. And there is hydrolicensing, which is us, which is responsible for renewing new license and relicense application. Drilling down further, hydrolicensing is spread out across about 6 different branches. We are from the New England branch, and we're responsible for hydro projects, obviously within the New England state, including the state of Maine. Across all branches, we all interact with the licensee and resource agencies, tribes, NGOs, and local stakeholders. So our authority to regulate hydropower projects comes from the Federal Power Act, and projects under our jurisdiction or either located in navigable waterways, they affect interstate or foreign commerce, they're located in federal lands or public lands, or they use the surplus water from a federal dam. So FERC issues licenses for between 30 and 50 years using 3 licensing processes. There is the integrated licensing process, which is our default process, and there's a traditional process, and there's the alternative process. The integrated licensing process is our default process, so you do have to get permission to use the other 2 processes. In this case, we made the decision that this project would be using the integrated licensing process, and that decision is made on a case-by-case basis. It happens that this project is more aligned with the integrated licensing process. Major difference between the integrated licensing process and the traditional or alternative licensing process is that the integrated licensing process includes a fixed schedule, and that's outlined in Appendix B, a scoping document. And it also includes early FERC involvement, which is why we're here so early in the process. Normally, FERC doesn't get involved in the traditional license process until the license application is filed. The integrated licensing process, I apologize about the screen, some of the words are wrong, but includes a pre-filing process and a post-filing process. Pre-filing is initiated with the filing of a pre-application document and notice of intent. We're currently in the scoping phase of the project, and over the next several months, we all the stakeholders will be working together to develop a study plan. Once that study plan is approved, America First will implement the studies and use the information from the studies to develop a license application. Once the studies are completed and the license application is filed, that concludes pre-filing and brings us right into the post-filing phase of the project. Post-filing begins with the filing of the license application, followed by an adequacy review. If the application is adequate, FERC will issue a ready for environmental assessment notice. This notice will solicit terms and conditions, comments, prescriptions from the agencies. And once those comments and prescriptions come in, FERC will use that information in the record, including the license application, the results of the studies, to issue a NEPA document. And once a NEPA document is issued, followed by a comment period, the license application would be ready for a commission licensing decision. As you can see, pre-filing can take anywhere from 1 to 3 years. while the post-filing process takes about a year and a half. The goal of the initial document that was filed by America First is to identify existing information, identify issues and study needs. Being the first document to file, it also sets a schedule and then pretty much lays the framework for future documents. The goal of the scoping process is to solicit your input and information in the scoping document, particularly those issues in section 4.2 that we've identified to study in our NEPA process. Scoping also identify existing conditions as well and the effect that the project would have on environmental resources. Scoping also identifies cumulative effects, alternatives to the project, as well as issues that need to be addressed in the project. We also identify an adequate geographic scope during the scoping process. The purpose of this study plan is to pretty much set the framework for which pertinent information can be gathered to address the issues identified during the scoping process. And the goal of the study itself is to, like I said before, develop the information that's needed to file an adequate license application. That is the first half of my presentation. If there are no immediate questions right now, I propose that we get through these presentations and then we can save our questions for when we open up for our comments and questions. And at this time, I'd like to invite a member from the current licensee, Kennebunk Light and Power, to give us an overview of the project facilities and operations.
Thank you. Good evening, afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Todd Shea. I'm the general manager of Kennebunk Light and Power District, who currently operates 3 facilities on the Mousam River under FERC license P5362. Many of you have familiar faces, so I've seen you in the audience, and I just recommend that, as Michael said earlier, in the project number 14856, that you are to speak this evening with the assumption that FERC does not know what you folks have said to KLPD, because that is a completely different license. So Kennebunk Light and Power owns 3 dams and associated hydropower facilities on the Mousam, all located in the town of Kennebunk: the Kesslen Dam, the Twine Mill Dam, and the Dane Perkins Dam. Kesslen is the most downstream of the Mousam River. It's been in place since the 1800s to provide power to the Kesslen shoe factory. Impoundment has a surface area of approximately 20 to 25 acres, and the generation has a nameplate capacity at 150 kilowatts and produces 2,400 volt 3-phase power at a frequency of 60 hertz. Dane Perkins, said that at the top, but that's okay. That's Twine Mill. The Twine Mill facility is located approximately 2 linear miles as the crow flies upstream of the Kesslen impoundment, about 3.6 river miles. The original dam was breached around 1960 and reconstructed in 80-81. That impoundment has an approximate surface area of 12 acres, and the nameplate is rated at 300 kilowatts and produces 480 volt 3-phase power at a frequency of 60 hertz. Go to the next one. This is Dane Perkins. This is located approximately half linear mile and river mile upstream from the Twine Mill. The smallest impoundment that we have is approximately 25 acres. The original dam was breached in 77 and reconstructed in 1980-81. The nameplate, once again, is rated at 150 kilowatts, produces 2,400 volt 3-phase power at 60 hertz. Many of you may not be familiar with the 2 former. The one facility that I'm most familiar with is the Kesslen, which is adjacent to the Lafayette Center. That's basically all I have to say, Michael, unless you need me to say anything else.
Any questions about the project facilities? Immediate questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
If not, we're going to invite the potential applicant, America First, to give us a brief overview of what you're proposing to do with the project. State your name and affiliation.
So my name is Ian Clark, and I'm the managing partner of, managing member, I should say, of America First Hydro. So America First Hydro, we saw an opportunity with the Kennebunk hydros where we believed that we could go forward, offer a redevelopment strategy for the folks of the town, and offer a way out of Kennebunk light power so that they wouldn't have to spend exorbitant amounts of money doing studies and all that. Brief background of who we are. I'm Ian Clark. I am the managing partner of Dichotomy Capital. We are an investment firm that invests in energy projects, specifically around hydroelectric. Paul Nolan is also a managing member of with us. He has done a number of FERC licensings, has a slew of opportunity and existing experience within hydroelectric. Cool. Within our actual projects, we own a number of projects around here. We have a deep pipeline throughout the United States. We have 3 projects within New Hampshire that we actively own, operate, and are currently relicensing. Those include Avery Hydro, Campton Hydro, and Woodsville, Rochester. The closest one is Woodsville, Rochester, which is right over the border in New Hampshire, allowing us plenty of opportunity to keep an eye on everything that's going on here. We saw the Kennebunk hydro facilities. We thought there was widespread support overall. We thought there was a great opportunity to come in here and help folks of the town out. We licensed a couple of projects that needed a little bit of help and needed a little bit of push in the right direction. There's widespread support overall between the governor's office and the town of Kennebunk itself. There's obviously significant environmental interests here, as many of them are out here right now. And we're working to balance those with understanding what needs to happen within FISP passage, water quality, aesthetics, recreation, dam removal, et cetera, all of which will be addressed over time. The overall deal is we're looking for redevelopment objectives, and we're trying to work with all the stakeholders involved, work with everybody to come to an overall conclusion where we can push forward and make a solution for everybody actively involved. The key take-home message I think that we want to do is we want to make sure that the relicensing procedure is based on facts. We want everything to be based simply and strictly on the science going forward and how we can help everyone involved and what the numbers and the actual facts are rather than feelings and what things should be or could be or want to be. Let's push forward with facts rather than what we simply think should happen. As a quick primer, we filed a comment on the scoping document. We were looking to potentially combine the P5362, which is the existing Kennebunk light power filing, along with ours 14856. The hope was that by consolidating procedures, we would allow this to move forward quickly and with a simple procedure of allowing a lot of extraneous hearings and allowing us to not have to go through multiple duplicative processes each time. We're also looking for a little bit of clarification on the decommissioning responsibility as far as KLPD, as far as we go. We're looking to potentially pursue partial or full relicensing of one, all, some of the facilities, and we'd like to understand the ramifications around all of that. And then we'd also like to finally request just keep everything simple and again, keep everything fact-based and non-motion-based. But we'd like to avoid the dumping of documents. We want things to be, again, fact-based, simple, clean procedure as we go through each time. So we're over redevelopment strategy. We are looking overall to relicense some or all of the facilities. We think that these facilities have tremendous potential, whether or not they are in their whole or we take some sort of portion of them, redevelopment. KLPD has gone with the objective over the past few years that these projects may not make it through the relicensing process, and as such, they have treated those projects as they were. We're looking at that a little bit differently and trying to think about things 10, 20, 30 years from now. Do the folks of the town want this project? Do the folks of the town think this project adds value? Well, we think it does, and we think that we can add value to that on top of it. You guys are not redevelopment strategists in the sense that you don't work in existing hydropower plants on a daily basis. Paul and I do. We understand this project, and we understand what needs to take place to push it forward into the 21st, 22nd, and heck, if we do our jobs right, 23rd century. So overall, we want to just work to get the project up and going. We want to repurpose the turbines, potentially replace existing turbines with more efficient turbine technologies that would allow us to run at different flows. And by doing so, we think we could actually get the turbines to cruise significantly more production overall. This would be one of the big counter-arguments down the road, is we could eventually push production higher and higher, allow it to become a meaningful part of KLPD. To add to that, Paul and I have numerous resources which we can call upon to help us develop this project through, whether it be engineering, environmental, local resources, you name it. We were able to get this and push this through without having to bend on the back and rely on the town or rely on KLPD to help us and exclusively push us through this overall. The overall benefits that we believe that this would take place, if the redevelopment, I think, is widely supported by a number of people in this room right now. It's well understood why this happened. We bring another perspective to that too, though, where we believe redevelopment of the projects would add a number of ancillary benefits to the town and a number of ancillary benefits to the citizens of the town, because it would allow you to keep low-cost production in the town, keeping your overall costs lower, without having to rely on intermittent resources that you don't have predictability upon. So, in our view, hydro is one of the best solutions overall to the grid of the next world, where we're looking to balance the overall needs of the environment with the needs of an immediately on electrical production stream. If you want electricity on right away, you need a very clean overall power source that doesn't have intermittent needs. And hence, some of the solar benefits and everything that have been talked about may not be the overall best solution in our eyes. And Paul, I believe you had one thing you wanted to say?
I'm Paul Nolan. I think some of you have tried to reach me, so I'm here now. I guess I can use this. Paul Nolan. I'm the regulatory consultant, attorney. I'm an attorney by training. I have some FERC experience going back in 1985. I think what would help if everyone could take the time, and FERC can certainly make this available or email me, but I think we need to look at the policy statements on decommissioning. The new FERC policy statement on license terms. There's a policy statement on the use and support of settlement agreements, because they have to be somewhat scientifically based. They just can't be us all get together and split the difference, as much as I would like to do that. And so I encourage you all to look at those policy statements. As far as comments go, I would appreciate comments either now or response. I'm not taking FERC's role, but to the actual process, because a lot of those things are asking us to propose study plans in response to your comments, but at the same time they may be addressing whether we need a second scoping document. I think it's a very compressed schedule to try to get it done by the deadline for filing applications. It looks like we're looking at some studies that are going to have to be actually conducted after we file. I think you all should comment on those, because I think that's a big impact on how you view the process being fair to your interests. And with that, I'll just shut up.
Thank you both.